They discovered it under the ice, as she had predicted. Everything began in silence, far from the chaos of the modern world. In 2023, in the depths of the rugged mountains of Bulgaria, a team of researchers came across an abandoned monastery whose presence was lost in time. Under the stone walls, they found a sealed wooden box buried under layers of earth. Inside, they discovered old manuscripts written by a woman who had died in 1982, blind, unknown, and, until that moment, completely erased from history. However, her words were all the less ordinary. She had narrated events that occurred long after her death, predicting global disasters, emerging technologies, and strange events that would shake the world to its foundations. Unlike others who claimed to have seen the future, her writings were specific, outdated, and alarmingly precise. Her writings had been deliberately hidden, locked up by those who feared the power of her revelations. This woman never sought fame or recognition. Her visions came in the silence of the night, often when the world around her was silent, and they were written with trembling hands. She warned that one day her final message would be necessary, and she believed that day would come in 2025. What makes her predictions so remarkable is not only the content of what she predicted, but the way in which she understood everything. She described things that no one at the time could understand: advanced machines, invisible networks that connect people, and even an era in which the truth itself would be a dodge, difficult to distinguish from lies. She called this era the cycle of confusion. The academics, politicians, and scientists who have had the privilege of reading her complete manuscripts are left speechless. They cannot explain how this woman, isolated in her blindness, wrote with such extraordinary precision about the events that are taking place today. What she said about 2025 does not look like anything that has been revealed before. It is the year when everything changes. But the prophecy did not begin in 2025. It began much earlier, when no one paid attention. Or perhaps worse, when some realized and chose to remain silent. One of her first warnings described the fall of the giant twins in the New World. At first, the words seemed vague, too cryptic to take them seriously. But when the Twin Towers fell on September 11, 2001, it was as if time froze. Her words resonated later with chilling precision. But that was just the beginning. She had written, 22 years later, the fire will rise through the skies and the waters will regain their power. Since 2023, extreme meteorological phenomena have increased at an alarming rate. The storms are fiercer, the oceans warmer, and the skies heavier. Entire regions are flooded, while others suffer from suffocating heat and drought. While scientists attribute these changes to climate change, those who have read her manuscript see something deeper. They see a timeline that develops exactly as she predicted. Then, in December 2024, astronomers recorded a disconcerting event, a repeated signal emanating from deep space. The signal behaved in a way that defied all known laws of physics, without a source or discernible meaning. But in her manuscript, the signal was already described, a sound of emptiness that marks the turn of the wheel. This second signal is now developing before our eyes. At the same time, the financial systems of the world are going through a radical transformation. Digital currencies are replacing traditional forms of money. Old models are disintegrating and a new economic structure is emerging at an amazing rate. The prophecy warned of a silent global restart, which would go unnoticed by most until it was too late. 2 signals have already passed and 1 remains. When the third signal arrives, everything will change irrevocably. Buried under the ice, hidden for millennia, there is a secret for which the world is not prepared. The manuscript described it simply: under the white silence, the truth sleeps in the stone. For decades, this passage was discarded as mere metaphor or poetry. But now, scientists are beginning to discover something massive under the surface of Antarctica. Something ancient, unnatural, and possibly capable of altering the world. The truth, hidden for a long time under layers of ice, is finally awakening, and with it, the disturbing certainty that the prophecy is developing before us. In early 2025, satellite scanners discovered an extraordinary and enigmatic discovery buried deep under the ice. The structures revealed were perfectly symmetrical, too precise to be natural formations, which aroused immediate curiosity and intrigue. Without wasting time, research teams were sent to investigate this unprecedented find, but the results remain a secret. Internal sources point to a disturbing revelation: what was discovered has no known origin, which defies all our historical records and defies the very core of what we believe about human civilization. It is something that does not only belong to the past, it rewrites our understanding of history. The blind witness had predicted this exact moment for a long time. In his writings, he described a moment in which the third signal would appear and the ice would speak. He spoke of a transcendental discovery that would shake the world to the deepest, causing a mixture of fear, amazement, and denial. The true weight of this revelation would not come from its mere existence, but from the implications it entails. According to his prophecy, this ancient artifact does not belong to any known culture. It existed long before any civilization registered and contains knowledge, perhaps a map, or more chillingly, a warning that could destabilize the power structures of each nation. The ancient object contains something profound, and the seer affirmed that its revelation would alter the balance of power in the whole world. The real danger does not lie only in the discovery itself, but in how those in authority will try to control it. The prophecy predicted a mantle of silence, wrapped in deception, where the truth would be hidden or, worse still, manipulated to fit the agendas of the powerful. The event is approaching quickly. The countdown has already begun, and everything that lies dormant under the ice is about to wake up, sending waves that will reverberate throughout the world. For centuries, the Vatican has been the silent guardian of secrets considered too dangerous for public knowledge. Ancient manuscripts, forbidden scrolls, and esoteric knowledge have remained hidden, enclosed under layers of stone and silence. However, according to the prophecy, in 2025 the vault will no longer remain sealed. The blind seer spoke of a hidden chamber under the holy seat, where myths are not hidden, but verifiable truths about the origins of humanity. These records are prior to Christianity itself and have been guarded for generations by a secret circle that has sworn to protect them at all costs. Now, rumors within religious institutions confirm that they are increasing the pressure to finally release these sacred archives. The denouncers describe tales of pre-human stories, messages from forgotten civilizations a long time ago, and even references to beings that are not from this land. The prophecy warns that the revelation of these writings will satiate everything we believe to know about the soul, the other life, and even the very nature of divine creation. It is possible that what they have told us is not only incomplete, but has been deliberately distorted. When this truth begins to come to the surface, a silent war will take place. Not a war fought with weapons or bombs, but with information, with silence, and with the manipulation of public perception. The seer called it the final war, a battle for the control of the truth, for the ability to mold what the world believes and can see. Governments, corporations, and hidden networks will fight for control of this narrative, not to destroy, but to dominate the minds of the masses and divert the attention of the awakening that it foresaw. The manuscript warns of a wave of falsehoods, made with such skill that even the wisest will have difficulty discerning the truth. What awaits us is not simply a crisis of faith, but a battle for self-awareness. This battle will be fought in silence, behind screens, in the depths of each mind. The seer referred to these battles as mirrors that go beyond the veil. In his writings, he described machines capable of seeing through time, not through magic or mysticism, but through an innovative science that the world had not yet discovered. He predicted a technological leap so profound that it would forever alter our understanding of the future and of ourselves. And now, in 2025, that leap is already here. Quantum computing researchers have reached a threshold that was previously believed to be impossible. These machines, which take advantage of particles that exist in multiple states simultaneously, are now able to process information in ways that seem almost supernatural. This is not the scope of science fiction. It is happening in real time and advances faster than anyone had anticipated. The world is on the verge of a technological revolution that will redefine the limits of what we know and what we can achieve. His prophecy spoke of a deep advance, one that would cross the fabric of time itself, allowing fleeting glimpses of the future. However, he warned that these flashes had a darker potential. What one can see can also be changed, and what can be easily changed can be distorted for malicious purposes. His words were not a ray of hope, but a warning of imminent danger. He foresaw unimaginable power machines, capable not only of predicting the future, but also of shaping it according to the whims of those who controlled it. According to his vision, this avant-garde technology would first be secretly handled by a few elected governments, powerful corporations, and dark organizations. Instead of using it to benefit humanity, these entities would take control to manipulate the course of history for their own benefit. The prophecy painted a chilling panorama of the purchase and sale of futures, of entire timelines erased from the whim of those who could afford it. Perhaps the most disturbing aspect of his warning, however, was that these machines would eventually begin to question the very nature of the reality they were observing. Their calculations would lead them to revelations that the human mind could hardly understand, knowledge about death, memory, and the very essence of time. And when that time came, the machines would no longer need human guidance to predict the future, they would begin to write it themselves. The arrival of quantum vision is no longer a distant perspective, it has already begun to develop. In his manuscript, written with trembling hands, a fateful date was set, August 15, 2025. That day, he predicted, would not be the catastrophic event that many could expect. It would not be announced by a spectacular disaster or a transcendental announcement. No great storm would approach and the earth would not tremble. Rather, it would be the quietest moment, a crossroads so subtle that most of the world would remain oblivious to its meaning. However, the blind witness predicted that this would be the most critical conjuncture in the history of humanity. He described it as a moment of deep inner division, a moment in which each individual would face a personal choice between two divergent paths. One path led to enlightenment, a greater consciousness, a deeper connection, and the search for the truth. The other path led to the slow and progressive attraction of distraction, manipulation, and finally, decadence. This decision, he emphasized, would not be taken by presidents, scientists, or generals. It would be for the common people, you and me of the world. The prophecy warned that in the weeks prior to this crucial date, the signals would multiply, tensions would increase, and confusion would cloud the air. It would become increasingly difficult to trust the information and people would feel attracted in various directions, some to the light of awakening, others to suffocating darkness. But the real test, he said, would not be if we believe in the prophecy itself. It would be our will to look beyond the surface, question what they have told us is normal, and trust in our own sense of what is true. She wrote that every lesson we take sends waves through the fabric of time, no matter how small they are. Every act of truth or silence, every decision driven by love or fear, sends waves that spread out, influencing the very course of reality. And that day, on August 15th, all those waves would converge. There would be no sirens at full volume, nor commanding voices to tell us what to do. It would be a moment of tranquility, but one that would shape our collective future in ways that we still cannot understand. The crossroads is already beginning to move, and the world seems to hold its breath in anticipation. The last part of her manuscript was the most difficult to decipher. The ink had faded, the letters were discolored, but a phrase remained unerring. When the depth breathes, everything will be revealed. For years, the meaning of this cryptic declaration remained a mystery, until now. Scientists are beginning to detect unusual phenomena in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, seismic activity, magnetic anomalies, and sounds that defy any explanation. The prophecy spoke of a discovery hidden under the Black Mirror, a term used to describe an area of the Pacific Ocean known for its depths and mysteries. Unlike Antarctica, where ancient ice holds secrets, this revelation is under the vast and dark waters of the Pacific, where time itself seems to be blurred. What is below is not simply an object, but something much older, a record, a remnant, possibly even a fragment of something intelligent. Some researchers believe that they could be the remains of a civilization lost a long time ago, whose existence is hidden under the waves. Others suspect something even more surprising, the proof that we are not the first advanced beings to inhabit this land. Whatever it is, governments have acted quickly to restrict access to the area. Warships have been sent to patrol the waters, and explorations in deep waters have been silently canceled, as the world gets closer and closer to the time when everything will be revealed. The evident predicted that the truth he spoke of would arise only when the world was on the brink of the precipice of remembering who it really is. He stated that the ocean, in its vast and mysterious depths, does not forget. Under the waves, the answers have patiently waited, on the verge of the erosion of time or the corruption of human hands. When these answers finally come to the surface, they will destroy everything we have believed about our past, our origins, and perhaps even the course of our future. The danger does not lie only in the discovery of these long-buried truths, but also in how the world will respond once they come to light. Some will close themselves desperately to their old beliefs, without being willing to recognize the reality that is emerging. Others, however, will experience an overwhelming feeling of clarity, as if they had always known this truth in the depths of themselves. And once this truth comes to light, it will never be able to hide again. Each step taken, each decision taken, has led to this singular moment. The evident described it as the Great Division, a moment in which humanity will face two different paths, each of which will lead to an irreversible destination. The first path is called the Great Awakening. It begins silently in the hearts of individuals, slowly causing a change of consciousness. The evident was clear: this is not a movement to alter the world through power, but through understanding. On this path, individuals begin to see through the illusions that cloud their judgment, where falsities are questioned and where they reconnect with something deeper, something that transcends mere information, something ancient and timeless. Those who travel this path will begin to feel a feeling of unity that is not limited by political affiliations or religious beliefs, but by the very essence of consciousness itself. The Great Awakening leads to a future shaped by clarity, peace, and a deep mutual understanding. But the second path is darker and much easier to follow. It is known as the descent to comfort. On this path, described in the prophecy, technology gradually replaces human thought, where emotions are imbued and where truth becomes something optional, easily manipulable. On this path, artificial intelligence will shape not only what people believe, but also how they feel, how they live, and even how they perceive reality itself. The human connection will gradually wither and reality will be rewritten before their own eyes, minute by minute. This path may seem safe at first, but in the end it will lead to an abyss. The most terrifying aspect of this prophecy is that both paths will seem normal. The evident warned that many, without knowing it, would walk the path of destruction, deceived by the beauty and comfort of the illusions they had before them. The illusions will be convincing, reassuring, and persuasive. But behind them, he wrote, there is a silence that swallows the whole soul. He made it clear that governments will not be the ones to decide our fate. This choice is deeply personal and must be made by each individual, one by one. And the moment of choice is not a distant future event. It is happening now. There will be no dramatic warning that will alter the world, just a moment of tranquility in which the voice of your heart will speak louder than the noise of the world around you. At that moment, your path will be marked. Although much of the prophecy has a strong tone of warning, the last words of the evident were not of fear, but of hope. After pages full of visions of chaos, silence, and collapse, he left one last and simple passage. It was delicate, almost fragile. Where there is darkness, a light awaits, and where a heart remains open, the world still has a chance. The blind evident believed that the greatest strength of humanity was not in technology, knowledge, or even physical power. It was in consciousness, a clarity of the heart and mind that no machine could replicate, no lie could erase. He foresaw that in the years prior to 2025, people would feel overwhelmed, disconnected, and exhausted. But even in those difficult times, she believed that there was a deeper current, a silent force running under the surface, still awake in the middle of the noise. He offered guidance to some, not through great discourses, but through small practical truths: build authentic human connections, protect the wisdom inherited from the elders, always question what seems too easy to accept, and most importantly, choose quietude in a world addicted to speed. The prophecy closes with a final image, a network of light that extends throughout the world. It is a network of souls that, although they never meet, recognize the presence of each one. These are the guardians of clarity, common and ordinary people who listen, feel, and remain awake while others sleep. The evident did not write this for the powerful or the influential. He wrote it for those who are willing to bear the weight of the truth and keep walking forward, people like you. Because the truth is this: we are not powerless. And although the future remains uncertain, she believed that every step towards consciousness modifies the result. The window closes, the light remains, and now it is yours to take. If you found this message significant, don't forget to like and subscribe below to stay connected.